Hey guys, what's going on? NGS back in for another video. Time for another installment of Ask Neo. So I've got all the questions on my handy dandy HP laptop right over here. Don't say shit. Got it really cheap. So without further ado, let's begin. The first question comes from Sean Phillips on Facebook. Hey Chris, what are your thoughts on the notion that One Piece is this generation's Dragon Ball Z? I would have to say I agree with that. I mean, if you're comparing it from popular anime of its day, yeah, One Piece is popular now, if not more popular than Dragon Ball Z was back in the late 80s, 90s. Heck, even today, Dragon Ball Z is still seeing a lot of popularity. It's basically because One Piece, I guess, in some way, shape, or form kind of like embodies what made Dragon Ball great. Both two completely different series in their own rights, but it just... When I was watching One Piece early on in the beginning, I got the same feeling that it did when I was watching the early episodes of Dragon Ball Z back in the end of the 90s. And now One Piece has gone off and started doing its own thing with its own complicated plot and diverse group of characters and such and such. But in terms of popularity, it's as popular as Dragon Ball Z, if not more, considering it's, I believe, now the highest selling manga in Shonen Jump history. It's broken a lot of sales records, I know that. One of the volumes just completely sold out in like 2 days or something like that. So if you're comparing it sheerly based off popularity, I'd say it's definitely up there. However, in terms of story and such, it's definitely surpassed it in terms of length. One Piece has been going on, I believe, since 1997. In terms of the manga, the anime started in 99, so it's going on 17 years now, and Oda just came out and said that he's, I think, got another 10 years worth of life in One Piece, which, for a person who's not really caught up, I can't say if I really understand where that's going from, but from a lot of my reputable friends who really do like One Piece, they say that's believable. However, if you're going to keep our series running 27 years, that's just a stretch that I'm not even going to get into right now. And his next question is, what are your top 5 worlds from the Kingdom Hearts franchise? From the Kingdom Hearts series, it has a very diverse group of worlds, but I gotta say some of my personal favorites, first and foremost, since it was the most recent world that I played from the most recent new installment, was... I believe it was called Sorcery of Symphonies, Symphony of something. You know where it's from. It's from Dream Drop Distance, and I can't remember it for the life of me, but you guys know what word I'm talking about. It's very creative. It's very freaking awesome, what you can do on the level. I mean, all of your attacks are basically musical notes, and it's just the orchestral score in the Kingdom Hearts games is already great as is, but that world just really stood out. Along with that, some personal favorites. Of course, I liked playing as the Pride Lands. It was a different style of play. A lot of people really didn't care much for Sora, Donald, and Goofy in animal forms, but I thought it was a nice change of pace, albeit the world was pretty dead for the most part. But hey, it's Pride Lands pre-Simba coming back. Wait, actually, no, Simba was like emo in the second visit to Pride Land, so it was like... still pretty dead for the most part. In addition to that, of course, my #1 favorite world in the Kingdom Hearts series has gotta be Agrabah, because we haven't gone there enough. Better not be in Kingdom Hearts 3, I swear to God. The next batch of questions comes from JC Elliott. Do you like the way Toonami is now? If not, what would you change about it? I've been pretty, for the most part, quiet when it came to Toonami ever since its, announcement that it'd be returning. So it's basically its return back in 2012. I mean, I've spoken here and there on videos and a couple of posts on Facebook and Twitter, but no one's really gotten my official stance on Toonami and such. I mean, personally, when it came back, I was extremely excited for the block, mainly due to nostalgia. It was something I grew up on, which I'm sure 99.98% of you guys have as well. But at the same time, I was looking at the quality of programming that they were putting on. It was basically just Adult Swim with Toonami branding on it, and I really could not get by that, which is why for the most part I stayed away from Toonami. All the shows that they were showing were stuff that was already aired on Adult Swim. It was stuff that we can already availably watch on other mediums. You don't have to stay up till like 1 a.m. to check it out. But since then, I have definitely think that Toonami has improved with the content that they're putting out there. They are definitely adding in a lot more shows that I wanted to see show up on the block. A couple of notable ones, for example, Blue Exorcist, Sword Art Online, a lot of stuff. Attack on Titan just came on there. And there's so many good series on there. Personally, for me, it's just the time has passed for Toonami. I mean, I've already seen the majority of these shows in one way, shape, or form. You know, I've either read the manga and I thought the manga was better. I've either seen the Japanese version and just am waiting for the dub release on Blu-ray. However, at the end of the day, I really don't think that Toonami is... I mean, I've heard so many definitions of what people say Toonami is for. People say Toonami is just the best place for action, but then again, people say Toonami is the place to introduce all the people who never watched anime to anime. If you're an anime fan, you know for a fact that for the past couple of years, you haven't been watching anime on TV. You've been watching anime through streaming sites like Crunchyroll, official streams from Funimation and Viz, etc., etc. So you already heard about these shows, especially stuff like Attack on Titan and Sword Art Online. They were the most popular anime for their year. So how is this introducing new people to the series outside of just saying, you know, I may check that out? I mean, if that's what people want to do, then cool. I guess that's for you. But personally for me, I've kind of outlived that. I'm more accustomed to just watching an episode of an anime on Crunchyroll whenever I go somewhere. So it's easier for me than staying up till like 1 a.m. in the morning just to see an English dub version. That's for me. I really do like that they improve their content and their scheduling and their rotation of new series. That's something I wanted them to do. But at the end of the day, it's just not for me anymore. This question comes from Multi-Arrow123. What games have you picked up for your PlayStation 4 besides Infamous Second Son? Well, considering the fact that this Q&A series is dated... Oh, snap! Cat's out of the bag. I was supposed to do this 4 months ago. I have picked up a couple of games for the PlayStation 4, but not really ones that you were expecting. First and foremost, of course, I did pick up Infamous Second Son. This was the first game that I actually went on and bought for the system because I was looking forward to it. I love Infamous. It's one of my favorite franchises from last generation, so of course, I'm going to pick up the new installment. And recently, I picked up a game that, I mean, I enjoy the franchise, don't get me wrong. However, I thought that the last console iteration was severely lackluster in terms of its predecessor. But I saw this for $20 and a next generation game that just came out back in November for $20. I'm not going to pass up on that, and that is, of course, Killzone Shadowfall. And just for quick first impressions, definitely enjoying it a lot more than Killzone 3, I'll say that. But, I mean, I haven't really been purchasing too many PlayStation 4 games, mainly due to the fact that it's a next-generation console. PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Wii U, they really don't have much out in their first year for the most part. I mean, like I said in my last video, if you are a multi-platform gamer, if you like third-party support, PS4 is going to have a lot of great stuff this fall with Destiny, Dragon Age Inquisition. It's going to have its own exclusives like Drive Club. But there's really not much to play unless you're interested in, I guess, PlayStation downloadable titles, because they have a lot of stuff on the PlayStation Store. They have a lot of exclusives, and PlayStation Plus, you get a free game every month. Recently, Strider just came out free on PlayStation Plus. So that's what I've been spending the majority of my PlayStation 4 time with. It's just been playing those two games in addition to stuff I've downloaded from PSN. Some of the games that I'm looking forward to on the horizon, to sort of expand on your question and not make it kind of a waste. I plan on, of course, picking up Destiny when that comes out. I really did enjoy the alpha. I can't wait to play the beta for that. That's one of my most anticipated games for the fall, and it completely shocked me. In addition to Destiny, I'm probably going to pick up Drive Club. I know I'm not a big fan of simulation racers and such, but I've been seeing a lot of good things about Drive Club. Shut up, Wilmer. Don't say nothing. It still looks pretty decent, bro. Ricardo Santos wants to know, what camera do you currently use for your YouTube videos? As far as cameras and equipment go, I'll just run through really quick. The camera I'm recording this Q&A on is the Logitech C920 HD web camera. It's one of the best web cameras I've used, especially considering the quality for it. Right now I'm recording in 720p because I know this Q&A video is going to be pretty long and I want to get it out there fast for you guys. But if you bump it up to 1080p, the quality is fantastic, as I'm sure you guys have seen in the past videos I've done. My primary standalone camera, the one that I now use officially if I'm doing, I guess you could say, professional content, is my Canon T3i Rebel. This is a DSLR camera. It's one of those fancy smancy photographic cameras that you see everybody using, and it's a pretty decent mid-range one, especially for a person who's never really delved into DSLRs and all these crazy settings and functions and features. But I got it really cheap on Black Friday, and I love the living heck out of it, and I do need to record more videos with it, get my bang for my buck. But those are the two two cameras I primarily use for my videos. As far as audio is concerned, I'm recording this video with the Blue Yeti stereo microphone. It's one of the best USB microphones you can get, especially if you're a beginner into all these things. And if I'm using my camera, I usually use the Yeti in conjunction with that, but I do want to purchase a standalone microphone to use with the camera so I don't have to keep lugging the Yeti around into different rooms. But that's the answer to that question. And the second one that he wants to know is, would you like a Revolution 4 game on the Wii U, or do you think Tomi's done making Naruto games? This is something I think everybody has been wondering what's going on for a while, because we really haven't gotten, at least to my knowledge, we haven't gotten a concrete answer on, and that is what is going on with Tomy and the Clash of Ninja games. I think what really started this out was a couple of years ago, back during the days of Revolution 3, if I recall. One of the developers who was promoting Clash of Ninja Revolution 3, his wording kind of rubbed me the wrong way, in the sense that he said that, you know, we're really going all out for Revolution 3. We're not going to try to say, hey, we're going to do what we can this year and then move it over to next year. So that kind of tipped me off that they were kind of slowing down when it came to the Naruto games, and it could be for whatever reason. You know, the popularity of Naruto as a whole has declined worldwide, regardless of people saying that, oh no, it's still popular because people read it, it's one of the most popular things on the manga things, a New York Times bestseller. But come on, you can't compare the popularity of Naruto now compared to Naruto as it was like 5-6 years ago. You know, and that could be due to the fact that, you know, it's just not playing in mainstream TV anymore. It just came back onto Toonami now. But I just think it has to do with people just not really giving a crap anymore. When it comes to ongoing, long-running series, everybody just cares about One Piece. And it's definitely proven with the Naruto games. The only games you see now are the ones from CyberConnect 2, and then maybe an offshoot like Powerful Shippuden, the Rock Lee spin-off thing. So I think Tomy is done in that sense, because maybe it's just not financially... it's not a good business decision for them to do that, and especially considering that the market, like the Wii U, no one's really making games for the Wii U outside Nintendo. So you really have to consider those things and take that into account. But I would personally love a Revolution 4. Everybody knows that my favorite fighting game in the Naruto series. I'm going to try to see if I can whip it out. I don't know where exactly it is, but it's probably not here. But my favorite Naruto fighting game is Gekto Ninja Taisen 4 on the Nintendo GameCube, and to this day, really no other Naruto game has surpassed it. Maybe that's just me being biased, but it was just freaking amazing. As well as Revolution 3. Revolution 3 came really close. I definitely put in a lot of hours into that one. I mean, the new Storm games are good and everything, and they have, you know, listened to the fan feedback, and they have been tweaking some things, but really, if you compare the shit that goes on in the Storm games compared to getting 4 of your friends together and playing Gekto Ninja Taisen 4, there's really no competition there. Gekto Ninja Taisen 4 all the way, and I have not gotten this excited about Naruto in a while. Maybe it's because it's Naruto back then and not Naruto now. Ugh. This one comes from Brody. Not even gonna attempt to pronounce your last name, bro. Would you rather be locked in a room with Omega or... Why you do this, though? Now that we've gotten the sus out of the way. This one comes from Toby. Oh, God. Here come a whole Neo is Toby jokes. I already know it. No offense to you, bro, because your name, but you started something. You did. Got 2 similar questions for you. Does the Naruto Storm series remind you of the Call of Duty franchise? I mean, that's kind of become the general... a lot of people are starting to think that, considering the fact that they've had a Naruto Clash of Ninja. Oh, my God. They've had a Naruto... Oh, my God. I miss Clash of Ninja! They've had a Naruto Ultimate Ninja game every year consistently since 2012. So that's Generation, Storm 3 Full Burst, and now Storm Revolution this fall. I mean, I guess you can consider it that, considering it's just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, so many of them. They were legit just advertising the last game, not even a season ago. So I could definitely see people saying that, but at the same time, you know, this is CyberConnect 2's cash cow. When you consider the amount of units that this game sells, especially for an anime title, it's just bank, you know, and this is the only Naruto game series that is currently running. So if people want to get their Naruto game fixes, they got to go to this one. And the Storm series, like, to this day is so polarized, and there's so many polar opinions. Like, Storm Revolution, I cannot get a concrete opinion on whatsoever. Everybody I know says that it's awesome. It just fixes all the problems that happened in Storm. There's, like, it's all balanced and stuff, and then everybody's saying that they made it worse. So it's just, honestly, I don't fuck with Storm anymore. I bought Storm 3 Full Burst really cheap when it came on PC. And even then, I really was not into it. And it's just mainly due to the fact that there's just so goddamn many of them. You know, I just can't sit down and play them and whatever. So to me, it's just not worth it anymore. And this one is one that I think we all want to happen someday. Do you ever think Ubisoft will acquire the Naruto Shippuden license again? Again, another thing similar with Tomy. We just don't know what happens. I do remember that Ubisoft saying that I think they did say they lost the rights to produce Naruto games after the Broken Bond for whatever reason. But there was something I really did enjoy about Rise of a Ninja and especially Broken Bond. I mean, they were definitely rough around the edges in variety, if that makes sense, you know, when it came to visuals and stuff. But I think that's something for all Ubisoft games. I mean, call me crazy, but I don't really think too many Ubisoft games look graphically crazy. I mean, I think they look good for their generation that they're in. Nothing really wows me personally, but the game's definitely fun. It definitely did feel like an open world Naruto game. It was very diverse. It wasn't as closed off as Ultimate Ninja Storm, which was the competitor to Broken Bond at the time. So I would love to see what they would have done with Shippuden. I seriously would have. I just think that if they expanded on what they were doing and just did Shippuden, it would have been great. And I honestly did enjoy the fighting system. The online was pretty decent. So it's probably never going to happen, but hey, we all can dream. A question I think we all want answered comes from Adolfo. Why don't you post more Let's Play videos? Oh, in before what happened to Jak and Daxter, in before what happened to Tomb Raider, in before what the heck is going on with TMNT Out of the Shadows. This is something I think I've come to understand with me in Let's Plays. My consistency with posting consistent Let's Play videos, it just does not work. I mean, whenever I start a Let's Play, I really get excited. I record and sit down and play a game for 2 hours, and then I start posting them up, you know, space them out by a couple days, but I just can't, for some whatever reason, get back into the game again to record more footage, and that's a fault of me. I know, I'm sorry, guys, but I don't know, there's just something fun about Let's Plays when you're playing a certain game and you just want to record everything and see what happened and play it back and have fun. Honestly, I think in my case what the best bet would be me to record game footage and then just do highlights, you know, of the best moments of me playing the game, wherever I rage the most, if I'm playing something like Dark Souls or whatever. But I don't know, I guess it all comes down to my consistency, bro, when it comes to Let's Plays. I mean, I've completed 2 games on YouTube as far as Let's Plays are concerned, and that was Bioshock Infinite. I played through that entire game, as well as Kingdom Hearts Final Mix HD. I played through the entire game live on Twitch, so that's there in the archives if you guys ever want to check it out. And I did upload, I think, the first 2 parts on YouTube. I have to get the rest on there, but it's divided into like multiple parts on Twitch, so it's kind of a hassle. But yeah, you know, I think honestly what I'll probably do in the future now is just record everything on Twitch. If I'm playing a console game, just have it sync on Twitch. If I'm doing something on PS4, have it go there. Because there is honestly something to recording the footage, putting the audio, mixing it, that just kind of just eats up all the time in between. But yeah, that's my honest answer on Let's Plays, I guess. This question comes from Noctis. Not sure if that's your real name, but if it is, you best go sue Square Enix. What are your thoughts on the Batman Arkham Knight trailer that was released a few weeks ago, and where do you think the story will go? As far as Arkham Knight is concerned, I don't know, I'm just kind of not burned out on the Batman series, but, you know, I can't bring myself to care enough for the game. The game looks fantastic. After seeing the Batmobile gameplay and the stuff that they showed off on E3, I think it looks great, but I'm really kind of skeptical on what they're going to do from the story side of things. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. They are being really quiet about it. However, there's one thing I really hope they do not do. I really hope they do not shoehorn Joker into this game. I don't care that he is his arch enemy. I really don't at this point, when they're literally shoehorning him into every possible encounter in every game. It's like you're playing Batman Arkham City. You think the villain of the game is Hugo Strange, and it's like, oh, no, it's actually Joker in the end. Woo! And then you're playing Arkham Origins, and let's not get into that right now. But if they find a way to shoehorn Joker into this game, I'm done. I seriously am. I'm like, can we get a Batman game that's not about Joker? And I don't care if he just plays a bit part. It's still annoying when you have so many other bat villains in the rogue gallery that you can develop, and you just go back to Joker because it's safe and it's convenient. It's ridiculous. I just really hope they don't do that. I don't know if they ever said that, yeah, we're not going to do Joker, but don't believe them. Don't believe them. Don't believe them. You never know that. You never know that. But the game itself does look pretty good. I already pre-ordered it back when I thought the release date was coming out this fall. So I'm already set. I pre-ordered it on Green Man Gaming. So when that comes out next spring or January or February, whenever that is, I'll make sure to play the game, and hopefully it will live up to all of our expectations. This question comes from Patrick Drake, also known as P. Drake on YouTube. YouTube is a hobby for you, I know, but would you ever leave New York City for something related to gaming, work, etc.? This is a question that I get asked, I guess, quite frequently in regards to my life, in terms of what I'm doing in the future and such. The past couple of years have really been kind of, I guess you could say, chaotic in the sense of I don't really know what I wanted to do, and I think that that's perfectly fine for somebody who is as, I could say, young as I was at the time. You know, coming out of high school, I was thinking that, all right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go the easiest path to get a job, and that's going to be majoring in accounting, you know, because accountants always find a job. You know, there's never a time where I wouldn't have a job, so I think that'd be great. But as I was doing that, I realized that I really didn't like accounting that much. I mean, I understood it. It was great, but it was just so dull for me, you know. And I think that's, like, honestly something I really never wanted to do. I thought I wanted to do it, but I didn't. But at the same time, I know I wanted to do something in the business field. I wanted to at least have, I guess you could say, the experience of knowing how to run and manage stuff like that. But at the same time, I didn't really want to spend the rest of my days just managing a store or a branch behind the scenes or something. I wanted to, I guess you could say, be out there, if that makes any sense. So I guess what I kind of settled on doing is just getting my degree in business, but at the same time focusing a lot more on marketing and communication, and just, I guess you could say, being out there in the sense that I'm able to do a lot of like on-camera stuff and speaking, and I think you guys know what I'm saying. Like, for example, if I was ever to do this, you know, and ever go to E3 or something, and if I ever build relations with companies, what have you, and stuff, and something related to that, you know, someone who's able to be good on camera and do all this stuff. I know it probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people. They're like, wait a minute, so he wants to be on camera and do all this stuff and build relationships, but he's going to school for business and marketing? Like, it doesn't make sense. But it's like, oh my god, it's so hard to explain this at the same time. But I think for the few people out there, they'll kind of understand what I'm talking about in that sense. Like, I want to do something in this realm of entertainment, but I still want to have the experience of knowing what to do if, like, hey, you gotta go and do this, you gotta go and, you know, make sure this isn't gonna collapse in on itself, this company, you know. It's that sort of thing. But if I ever had to leave New York City for something that like that, it would probably be for trips, you know. If I ever had to go to like E3 or PAX or something related to that, and if my work, if I in the next couple of years does permit that, saying like, hey, you gotta go and cover this for what have you, I think that'd be awesome. As far as like moving is concerned, I don't know where I'd want to move to. I'm at that point where I'm just kind of content with the state I'm in. I mean, I've dabbled about moving down south or moving somewhere out west, you know, maybe living in a little bit of every part of the United States of America. But at the same time, I really don't know what I want, where I would ever want to live and settle down, you know, because I'm still someone in their early 20s. I'm about to turn 21 in a couple of days. So I'm not really in the mindset of, you know, yeah, I'm going to find a nice place to settle down. You know, if I ever move, it'll probably be related to work purposes. But hey, you know, the future, it's not set in stone. Yeah, Caleb, I said it right this time. So we'll just see what happens in the next couple of years. This one comes from a gentleman by the name of, well, he doesn't want his name to be revealed, so we'll keep it anonymous. His question is about Nintendo and Disney, surprisingly. Do you ever think sometime in the future Nintendo would team up with Disney to make their own cinematic universe? I know it sounds dumb, but it's something that's been on my mind for a while now, and I need to hear someone else's opinion on it. Thank you and keep up the good work. Yeah. Talk about, what a great question, man. That's interesting. This is something that I think you're not alone in. As far as, like, building a cinematic universe for Disney-related stuff, I assume you're speaking crossovers of Nintendo characters and Disney characters, considering that they are so very popular, Mario, Mickey Mouse, what have you, and then, you know, maybe doing some video games or animated series and such. I mean, that's probably something that's been on the table of some boardroom meeting at some point, especially, you know, with all the rise of Skylanders figures and Nintendo with the Amoeba, whatever it is. Like, people were thinking, like, why don't they do that? And it also brings to the question, why doesn't Nintendo do more with their characters? Why don't they invest in doing, like, animated shorts or something along that ballpark? But yeah, I know, I definitely think there is, like, I guess you could say, potential for maybe not a crossover per se, but something related to doing more with the licenses outside of just whoring them out for no reason. This next question comes from Raul. How do you like your steaks? Normally, well done, but when I'm feeling kind of daring, medium rare. This question comes from Tyrell, and it is also relating to Batman Arkham Knight. How do you feel about the game being only next-gen, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC? Do you feel like there's going to be a conflict for the people who don't have next generation already with the game that is releasing not too far after the launch of PS4 and Xbox One? Definitely a really heated discussion that has been going on for the past couple of months, the topic of, are we ready to go forward into the next generation? Last generation, the 7th gen, it has been notorious because it is one of the longest generations in gaming. The Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 are still receiving support from third parties, even in there. As of the time of this video, Xbox 360 is going to be 8 years old. PS3 is going to be 7 years old. Is my math right? I'm just trying to think. Oh, 2005. So it's actually, wow, no, never mind that. Xbox 360 is going to be 9 years old, and the PlayStation 3 is going to be 8 years old, with the Wii dying back in 2011 with Skyward Sword. But it's interesting. So, like, these games, these big releases that had such a huge following on PlayStation 3 and Xbox and PC, you know, they're coming out and they're only releasing on the successors to the system. There's no cross-generation whatsoever. And to be personally honest, you know, I know this is going to piss some people off, but I actually don't really mind that. And that is mainly due to the fact that, you know, if a game is multi-platform and it's coming on PC, I don't care, I'm playing it anyway. There's, like, not a shortage of games. There is no such thing as, like, you know, a next-gen only game. It's going to come to PC at some point, or probably is announced for it. But since I have a PlayStation 4, it doesn't bother me. But at the same time, I think a lot of people are kind of, I guess you can say, they're kind of being two-faced about it. They say that next gen is really not being pushed whatsoever, yet they are, you know, championing for cross-gen games. What people don't realize is that these developers have limited resources. If they're going to release a cross-gen game, at the very minimum, it's going to be released on 4 platforms, if not 5. PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PC. If they're not even, and if they're counting a Wii U version, that's going to be 6 platforms. So it's 6 platforms for a game. And if you're not a big studio like Ubisoft or I was about to say Cocktivision, it actually fits. If you're not something like Activision, then you cannot afford that whole release cycle unless your game is really small, it's really niche, it doesn't take a big budget. But if you're pushing out something like Assassin's Creed Unity, or you're pushing out something like Destiny, you have to have a lot of money to release it on more than 2-3 systems. So I think they feel that, first off, they want to get the best out of next gen without having to have a separate team work on next gen and a separate team work on last gen. Because if they didn't, then everyone would be complaining that, oh, this game doesn't look that next gen, you know, because it's cross gen. They're probably limited by the fact that if you only have 150 people working on a game and you have to do it for 6 platforms, it's either there's going to be sacrifices in the game itself, or there's going to be delays, which no studio, no company, and no gamer really wants. So I support developers going forward into next gen if they're really going to be utilizing those resources. Simply, not just based off that, but just in general, because I know if I ever do pick up a console at some point, I'll have those games to play. And while the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 are still getting support, come on, guys, let's be honest. At this late in the game, these consoles have been out so long, they're really pushing their time. You know, it's kind of done. These consoles came out a long time ago, so there's only so much they can do. So if you're expecting to get, like, next-gen gameplay and visuals out of those, it's... I'm just being honest. You kind of have to move on to the next, you know, the next new thing that comes out. No one's saying you have to gradually just... no one says you have to jump into it, but you gradually make those steps to it. But you can't say a company is greedy for only wanting to release on next-gen systems because they want to take advantage of the hardware, where you guys are saying that no one takes advantage of the hardware. So there's that. This question comes from a very, very, very dedicated, loyal, and longtime viewer known as Dax. Why don't you use Ustream for watching movies and all those crazy shenanigans we used to do? Well, to be honest, when it comes to watching movies and streaming, all that stuff, as you guys know, if you've been a follower of all of my NGS live sessions that have been going on for, wow, this will be the 4-year anniversary we've been doing live streams. I used to use Blog TV primarily as my main streaming site for, I believe, 2 to 3 years until it became YouNow or some crap like that. And on Blog TV, I'll just say this, you could get away with a lot of shit. We were streaming, I probably shouldn't say this, but we were streaming Hollywood movies. I'll just say that. Hollywood, big budget, you know, just came out like a year ago. We're watching it on this stream. Didn't matter whatsoever. Maybe that way I won't get in trouble. But yeah, they really were very lenient on it when it came to that sort of thing. And I really haven't found any other site that can honestly do that, you know, without having to have your stream private or hope that they won't come and drop the ban hammer, drop the IP hammer on you. But I definitely did love doing that. I loved it. I loved watching movies and anime with everybody on the stream. It was awesome. You know, that's how I watched the first episode of Sword Art Online. That's how I started watching, you know, a lot of series, actually. And we watched some old classics as well. So if somebody wants to link me to a stream where we're able to watch stuff like that without getting caught or without having to restrict stuff, then I would greatly appreciate that. And the second question is, do you think the cake is a lie or the cookie? I mean, there. Darian Alonzo Allen, awesome name right there. Are you ever going to be importing J-Star's Victory Versus? This is a question that I've been going back and forth every now and then in my mind for the past couple of months. J-Stars is a game that I really do want to play at some point. I think that the game looks very fun for all the anime fans out there. It's something that we've really, honestly, been wanting for a very long time. Something like Jump Ultimate Stars, but on a home console where you can do more. And I've seen gameplay videos for them, and it does look very fun if you have a bunch of your friends over playing it. Sadly, I'm not really in that phase when I'm importing games anymore. I'm trying to focus on playing games that I actually have right now and going through all that stuff. But by some miracle, if it ever got localized... probably never will, then I would definitely pick that game up because it looks like a lot of fun there. It's not just love for just the shonen characters, it's stuff from a long time ago. A lot of things that a lot of people over here who only watch Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, DBZ would have never heard of. They're like, who are these characters? I don't know them, man. What do I do, Super Saiyan? So it does look pretty good though. At some point I will try to play it. Next batch of questions comes from my good old Staples coworker buddy, Steve Pajot. His first question is, do you ever think we'll ever see Half-Life 3? And to that, I think we're going to have to consult the Magic Conch. Magic Conch, will we ever see Half-Life 3?
Maybe someday.
And there's your answer. His second question is, what are your thoughts on the upcoming Fantastic Four reboot? You guys know, and already me by going like, you guys know, I am really not opposed to a studio if they want to reboot a franchise that's based off a particular source material. More often than not, I've noticed that the majority of comic book adaptations, video game adaptations, any other adaptation, for the most part, they really weren't writing them early on. I'm not talking about as of late, even nowadays, sure. They really weren't writing them as they were adaptations of the story. They were just trying to get a general idea of what's going on, and they were just crafting a movie around it. You know, and that's why you get so much inaccuracy, and that's why you get so many people saying, yeah, the book's better than the movie. Fantastic Four, the movies that came before were pretty bad. I don't think anyone will ever argue with that. However, what they're doing with this reboot is not really looking too optimistic. First and foremost, it's Fox. Fox has made shitty superhero movies. As much as people like to say that the X-Men movies are great and Days of Future Past is awesome, no, they're really not. They're actually really subpar compared to the competition. So it's Fox, and also the director of the movie is the guy who worked on Chronicle. And that was my first red flag. This guy has been linked to so many movies. He's been linked to Sony's Venom movie. He's been linked to the Shadow of the Colossus movie. He's been linked to this. He's directing it now. And I gotta wonder why. Is it because he was this young guy who made a somewhat enjoyable movie? You know, okay, Chronicle was a good movie, but everybody and their dog knows Chronicle lost its appeal 75% in the movie when shit just got way too ridiculous for its own medium. So he's directing this movie, and a lot of the stuff that they're saying, it does not seem like it's going to be a Fantastic Four movie at all. What they're saying is it's going to be more of like a found footage type of movie. There are talks that the characters are not going to wear the costumes. There are talks that, you know, they're not even going to be called the Fantastic Four. There's just all this found footage stuff they're doing, which is ridiculous. This is not Fantastic Four at all. This is not the First Family. It's just a lot of stuff that's just rubbing me the wrong way. And everyone's saying, but this is cool. This is innovative. This is new. You know, it's just a found footage approach. You know, all these guys are randomly going to get their powers from different locations and then they're all going to convene and all. No, that's not Fantastic Four. And with found footage, it's the entire medium that's the problem. That you can only work around what the medium gives you, and it doesn't give out a lot. And it's just ridiculous. They're trying to go for this too edgy approach. They're trying to be different and all this stuff. And what people don't understand is trying to be different is not always better, especially in this case. You know, it's just, oh my god, I'm really not looking forward to it. And especially considering this project is so rushed. I mean, people like to say, Sony and Marvel are rushing their movies. No, this thing has been through so many director swaps, writer swaps. I can't even speak today. And it's coming out next summer. I really don't know. I seriously don't. I have no hope in the movie. I really hope that that whole found footage thing is like 2 seconds of the entire film, because I want it to be good. Like, I don't ever want superhero movies to fail. I just want all studios, Marvel, Sony, Fox, Warner Brothers, I want them all to do their very best. But when they're pulling crap like this, and then they're spitting in the fans' face saying, oh, you don't understand, or you're just a basement dweller, you know, there is validity in why people should, you know, let these movies go. This question comes from, not against anyone in particular, but if I can't pronounce the name, I'm just going to show it on the screen. What are your thoughts on Digimon versus current Digimon, and would you like a remake? I assume you're speaking of Digimon Season 1 versus whatever new stuff they got out. Honestly, I can't say when it comes to Digimon anymore, because after Digimon Savers, or Data Squad as it was known over here, came out, I kind of stopped watching Digimon. Not for any particular reason, I just wasn't really interested in it anymore. I think really after Tamers concluded and made me cry so goddamn much, I kind of somewhat gave up on Digimon. I had checked out Frontier. Frontier is good in its own different, unique way. It's not really Digimon per se, but it's good in some Digimon sense. Data Squad was it had nice music, and I guess, I don't know, it felt too short to me. I felt they could have done a lot more of it. Really, I mean, I haven't really been keeping up with Digimon. I really can't say much on what's been going on with the newer seasons. Everyone says, yeah, you gotta check out Cross Wars, or whatever that one was called when they came out a couple of years ago, but I really can't say. You know, I always rep the first 3 series, Digimon Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3. My favorite, of course, being Tamers. Tamers was the darkest. Tamers had the best character development, and just overall the story was just fantastic. I mean, I love Season 1 and Season 2, but really, guys, I think we kind of have to take off our nostalgia goggles and look at them as they were. They were good Digimon series, but, you know, it's just... I compare it to Power Rangers, you know. Power Rangers, a lot of people love Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. They think it's the best Power Ranger series out there. It was good, but, you know, a lot of things that people made fun of Power Rangers for, the majority of them came from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I like the series, but if you're comparing stuff to like Time Force that had a legitimate good story, and it was darker and it was more similar to the Super Sentai series, then that's where I think you can draw the parallels of what I'm making with Digimon. Season 1 and 2 were good. They're fun. They're not bad in any way, but you know, Digimon Tamers is like the Time Force for Digimon, I guess, if that makes sense. This next question comes from Ryan. Do you think it would be a good idea for Rocksteady to do a Superman game after Arkham Knight? If not, which DC hero would you think would be a good choice? Wow, a lot of questions related to Arkham Knight. Damn. But as far as that is concerned, honestly, I would love to see Rocksteady do an original IP. I know a lot of people are saying, yeah, after this, they got to do an Arrow game. They have to do a Superman game. But I want to see what they could do on their own. I mean, like, technically speaking, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum, that was a new IP. It was just based off of Batman, and it worked so well. But I want to see them do their own original story, original characters, and all that stuff, because while it's great that they're doing Batman and everything, I don't want them to become a one-trick pony. You know, I don't want them to become a turn 10. I don't want them to become, you know, just a developer that just does nothing but the Batman games. I want them to expand and, you know, move on and do something different. And if they want to come back to Batman in 5 years or so, something like that. I know they say Arkham Knight will be the last one probably from them. I don't want them to do another superhero game. I don't want them to be known as just like the DC developer studio. But I did in my last Ask Neo contemplate like what DC heroes should get a good video game. Personally, I would love to see one based off Nightwing. Subscriber actually sent a really good concept idea how it would be similar to Mirror's Edge in a sense when you're doing the parkour movements on the buildings, and he said that the gameplay would still be similar to something like a Batman Arkham game, which I think would work really well for Nightwing, especially if it is open world and in the city and more I guess you could say realistic in the sense that it's not just going to be Batman flying over the city, and you know, it'd be more grounded and down to earth. I think that would be pretty fantastic. Even though it's a video game, I think that would really work well for the Nightwing character. This is going to be the last question coming from my Facebook Neo GameSpark fan page. If you're interested in checking out the page, I post photos, I post status updates, and that's where you can see all the videos directly when they're uploaded from YouTube. It's facebook.com/NeoGameSpark. How do you feel about Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire coming out this November? I know you made a video about Pokemon remakes back in 2011 and how they're not needed in this franchise. Well, overall, my opinion still stands on the Pokemon remakes. I mean, there is validity to Nintendo releasing the games, and I really don't need to go into that because you look up any post of somebody talking about why we need the remakes because we gotta make sure all the generations are in one and all this stuff. You know, it's great and everything if you're a person who's into Pokemon like that, but, you know, for me, I'm just like, okay, so it's another Pokemon game, alright. Okay, we're going back to the region again. They're probably going to expand on things. I mean, it's not like it's going to be a ripoff per se, but I don't know. I'm kind of tired of them doing nothing but retreads of the past Pokemon games. I mean, back then it was fine for something like Pokemon Red and Green, and then, you know, when they came out with something like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, it's cool, but really something for Ruby and Sapphire? You know, I mean, I know it's been 10 years, but at the same time, you know, do we really need it? And I know people are going to come in here and say, oh yeah, we do. Well, because you look at the timeline of games, you know, it was less time in between this remake from that remake. Honestly, what I'm saying is that it's not, I'm not saying it's going to be bad at all, but what's going to stop them from coming out here with, I don't know, Dynamo Diamond and what's a good adjective starting with P? It'll probably be somewhere on the screen, but that Pearl. You get what I'm saying? I know they're probably not going to because that was on the DS and that's still like relatively new. It was 7 years ago, if you can believe it. Oh my god. But yeah, I'm just like, are we gonna get remakes of DS games now? Like, what? When is it gonna stop? Regardless, you know, I know the Pokemon fans are gonna like it and it's gonna be all fun and great and awesome because, whoa, Gen 3, man, Gen 3. but I don't see myself picking it up. I still have Pokemon Y, and I'm still playing that, you know, and I have so many other games to pick out, so I just might skip this. But at the end of the day, maybe I'm just not the biggest fan of those trumpets coming back. So we've swapped over from the laptop onto the tablet. This one is going to be a lot faster to read off the questions. This one comes from SL the FMA. Would you like to see an HD re-release of Tales of the Abyss on the PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 someday in the future? I mean, similar to the last Pokemon question, I mean, I got no real problem with remakes for games that, you know, I enjoyed playing and them coming out again and being great and all. However, you know, there's a line, you know, there's really got a line, and you have to review it on a game-by-game basis. You know, if it's something that is warranted and we need it, like, we need to see it, then cool. But if it's just something that's, like, relatively not that old and you could still play it and it's still really decent, cool. And I know at the end of the day, someone's going to say it comes down to a matter of perspective. What might be really old for you might be really new for somebody else, you know? But I really do love Tales of the Abyss. A subscriber actually sent this to me on my birthday last year. This is the 3DS version of Tales of the Abyss that they released not too long ago. I think it was 2 years ago. And I'm currently playing through that. I really do enjoy it. It is a bare bones port. It's not a re-release, like a remake. You know, they didn't go back and change everything. It's just that they improved the load times, and that's basically it. It's no upgraded visuals, nothing like that. Part of me, being the huge Tales fan that I am, I would love to see the beautiful graphics on PlayStation 4 of Tales of the Abyss. It's one of my favorite Tales games, albeit Luke was a bitch for 76% of the game. This question comes from Sam Jones. It appears he might be hailing from the UK. Ooh, another good fan from overseas. Do you count the Amazing Spider-Man video games as canon to the movie franchise or not? This is something that I had debated on for a while back. Me and a couple of friends were always wondering, you know, are the games canon to the movies? Because they never said that they weren't. They said that they were actually in touch with the screenwriters on what they were doing with the movie before the movie came out. So some of the things that happened in the game would, I guess, be considered like sort of like an epilogue, you know, not really going to be interfering with what they were doing, and it seemed reasonable. I thought what they were going to do is introduce villains that I guess they wouldn't feel like introducing him in the movie would be, it wouldn't have much of an impact. Like, for example, someone like Rhino or, you know, smaller villains like that, you know, filler villains, you know, not villains that could hold a movie, but someone you'd have, you know, in between, like they did with the comics. They would have a Green Goblin, then they would have like a fight with the Rhino, and then they would have, you know, a fight with Mysterio or something. But that's not the case, because they did come out and confirm that the games are not canon to the movies. So that whole, you know, stuff about cross species and, you know, the Rhino and stuff, especially considering he's an Amazing Spider-Man 2, the movie, all that stuff is just, you know, somebody going on there and writing it in, which was honestly not that bad considering what they did. This question comes from Sora Dragon Caliber, longtime YouTube viewer, longtime stream viewer, I can already tell. Would you rather venture into the vast and merciless deserts of Mars with James Hansen, fight Dante86 in a boxing match, but you will box backwards, be taught in the ways of hair shaving by George Lucas, have Akira Toriyama or Tom Cruise act as you in a biography of your real life, or pole dance with Zobi and Andrew Garfield during a live stream? And I just gotta say, you win the most. If there was an award, if there was a ribbon, if there was a freaking Post-it note that I could draw something on, you'd win the award for a question that's keeping me on my freaking toes. Would I rather explore Mars with James Hansen, fight Jamal in a boxing match, hair shaving by George Lucas, Akira Toriyama or Tom Cruise, or pole dance? I'm not gonna take the bitch approach and say none of the above. Wow, like, really? You know what? This is gonna come out as the most suspect, but I do the fucking pole dancing. I mean, I got this fucking crazy dude, Zombie70. I got Andrew Garfield flanking on my right. Like, yeah, at the very least, I'll never forget it. Like, Zombie's gonna be cracking up something crazy, and then it's fucking Andrew Garfield. So, man, I'm just gonna be a little bit suspect, and I'll pick that last option. This question comes from a gentleman by the name of Spidey. What classic Disney worlds would you like to see in Kingdom Hearts 3? And do they include anything Pixar, Final Fantasy, Marvel, or Star Wars related? Well, as far as worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3, I do think we're going to be seeing some returning worlds, but not as much as the past couple of games. If you've been playing something like Dream Drop Distance and Birth by Sleep, you do notice that they have less and less of the older worlds and more of the newer worlds out there, which I really do love. So some of those may make a return in some way, shape, or form, but I definitely do want to see more Pixar and Final Fantasy related worlds. I do think we do need to see something out of the realm of Final Fantasy VII. I know a lot of people don't like it, myself included, but I do think seeing Midgar would be great and everything. But then you have to question, you know, you have to have a reason for some of these worlds being in the game. And I know it's Kingdom Hearts and it doesn't need to be a reason, but if the Final Fantasy characters are there and they're not from Midgar, it does kind of bring into questions like, why aren't they from there? And I know they could just bring in more Final Fantasy characters and say that they're from Midgar, but hey, whatever. It's just me nitpicking, being the Square fan that I am. So I'd love to see more Final Fantasy worlds and Final Fantasy characters. I do think that Noctis from Final Fantasy 15 is going to make an appearance. That bitch with the pink hair is probably going to show up. Pixar is one. I think we're probably going to see a Pixar world in Kingdom Hearts 3. I don't think they've ruled that off the table. They say they want to do it, but it just comes down to licensing. Toy Story's got to happen. That's got to happen. I don't want to see no Brave. I don't want to see no Cars. I love Incredibles, but I want to see Toy Story. I just really want to see Toy Story in a Kingdom Hearts game. Marvel and Star Wars, I don't think they're ever going to make the cut in a Kingdom Hearts game, just because Disney owns the properties now. I don't really think they're going to use them in a Kingdom Hearts game. I think that's where it gets kind of crazy. I know in the grand sense that is Kingdom Hearts of, oh my god, WTF fuckery. Introducing Marvel and Star Wars is just like, you know, it's kind of, you know, there was a line and we're dangerously close to drawing it as is. Maybe someday in the future, maybe after the Xehanort saga, because this isn't going to be the end for Kingdom Hearts. We might see those worlds at some point. I don't want to, but hey, maybe. This question comes from Finian, I believe. Oh, it's a person from the UK. Look at all these UK viewers asking questions. All my friends overseas, I love you. If I ever go to the UK, I'm going to meet up with y'all. Oh, and wow, his question is actually relating to the UK. Have you ever been outside of the United States of America? No, I actually haven't. It's something that I've wanted to do for quite some time, but I've just never got around to it. Mainly due to the fact that I guess it was too much effort growing up in my household. I mean, we've taken road trips down south to Georgia to visit family, to Disney World a couple times, but never really out of the country. And we always say we're going to do it, but something comes up, like, you know, vacations don't match up, you know, be it I'm working or my parents are working. And in some cases, you know, planning a trip for a family of 5 overseas to certain countries can be too expensive at the times. So it just has never happened, and it's never bothered me, but I do want to get out there and explore the world. I want to, like I said, travel to a lot of parts of the United States. I want to travel outside the country. My first visit will probably be to the UK and or Canada. I do want to visit both of those countries at some point. It's probably going to be UK first and foremost because it's something I've wanted to do for a while, and everyone I know of my fans are like, yeah man, come down to the UK, it's going to be freaking awesome. So maybe at some point, possibly next year. I'm not making promises, but you know, if I start that savings in that Neo piggy bank, maybe it'll actually come through next year. So if I ever do announce that I'm going to another country and you guys live in that particular country, then maybe we might do a meetup. Maybe I'll like have a mutual place and we'll all just get together and we'll be like, hey, what up? You know, and get together and chill and, you know, not do suspect things. But yeah, that's the answer to your question, man. The next question comes from Larrick. Again, I apologize if I butcher some of your guys' name. How do you feel that Capcom has only $152 million in the bank and they may go out of business? Are you happy or are you sad about it? I'm pretty neutral about it. Honestly, I can say that I'm not surprised that Capcom has been doing bad. I am surprised that they only have that amount of money in the bank. Because if you guys notice, honestly, outside of the shit that people are giving Ubisoft and Craptivision, you know, for the things they do with DRM and milking their games and what have you, you know, Capcom, I think, has been the one that's really been pissing the majority of gamers off. Because Capcom came from a prestigious beginning with so many amazing franchises like Mega Man, Resident Evil, Street Fighter, and then you see this generation how they've been making these stupid business decisions related to their games, on disc DLC, you know, saying that fans are to blame for not having new Mega Man games, and, you know, completely selling out the Resident Evil and Devil May Cry franchise for whatever reason. And honestly, I think fans have started to wake up and realize, hey, you know, we're not so dumb that we're going to go out here and blindly support the games because it's our favorite franchise. They did this to themselves. You know, fans really aren't to blame in that respect. Fans just said, hey, we don't like this stuff. Stop doing it. If you keep doing it, we're not going to buy your stuff. And that's it. But it is kind of sad to know that, like, they're in such a bad situation where they say they can't fund the next Street Fighter game. Two questions. How much money does it take to fund a Street Fighter game? And, like, if you can't fund a Street Fighter game, what the hell are you going to do now? Because that's pretty much their only cash cow at this point next to Monster Hunter. So we'll see what happens to Capcom in the next couple of years. Maybe the company will go under and maybe some of their franchises will be spread to other developers. I would love to see some of the smaller devs out there like Atlas and some of the guys making indie games now get a hold of, like, Mega Man. I would love to see what, you know, some developers would do Resident Evil. I think it'd be fantastic, but, you know, we'll just have to wait and see in that case. This question comes from John. He just recently reacquired a PlayStation 3, and he's wondering what games that I suggest picking up. He loves RPGs, never really got into them. What about the Tales series? Never played any of the Final Fantasy games. Do you think that's a good start? So for this question, I'm actually going to do something interesting. What games would you recommend for a person who has just got a PS3, they're interested in JRPGs, don't really play a lot of them, but they want recommendations on them? So I'll leave this question open to you guys. But since he mentioned Tales, well, so you're interested in the Tales series on PlayStation 3. Currently, outside of Japan, there are 3 games in the series that I can recommend for you, because, well, they're only the 3 games that have come out. We have, first and foremost, going to try to get this out of the game library without all the other PS3 games falling. Come on. We have, give it a second to focus, Tales of Grace's F. This was the first Tales game that was released on PS3 outside Japan. Is a port of Tales of Graces that came out on the Wii a couple of years ago. It has a buttload of extra content, better visuals, and just all kinds of awesome stuff packed in. They have an epilogue in here that's like a crap ton of more, adds a crap ton of more hours of gameplay. And I always recommend this for people who are interested in Tales games, only because it's so special and near and dear to my heart, because this was my first Tales game on PS3. I didn't import the other games like I know a lot of people did. A lot of people imported Vesperia and Xillia before that came out. But I recommend picking up this one. It's really great if you do like anime. I think it's a lot more anime than the past other games in terms of like its story, and it's all about friendship and all that stuff. Now, if you're looking for something that's a bit more recent and something a bit more combat-centric, we have Tales of Xillia. This came out in the States last year, August, I believe. And this is definitely, I recommend this if people like playing an RPG with a really great combat system. You know, it's all action, non-stop. It's crazy, the amount of stuff you can do on screen. You can play as 2 sides of the story. You have the main male protagonist, Jude, right here, and the female protagonist, Mila. So you can go that route. And I've seen this one on sale more frequently than Tales of Grace's F, so it's probably going to be cheaper for you to pick up than Grace's F, which I've seen for like 30-40 bucks. But those games are really good in their own way. I mean, they're not just the same game over and over again. It's a very different combat system. Stories presented differently, and just overall, it's 2 different experiences. After those 2 games, you have Tales of Symphonia Chronicles, which is an HD remaster of 2 Tales games that came out a long time ago. Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube and PlayStation 2, and Tales of Symphonia Dawn of the New World that was on the Nintendo Wii. Now, I really haven't spent too much time playing either of the remasters. I've only put in a couple hours in Symphonia, but I only really recommend this for the hardcore Tales fan who loved playing the games back in the day, and they just want to play it again, but it looks better. It's very dated for a Tales title, the first one, Symphonia, so if you play something like Grace's F or Zillia and then try to go back to that, you're kind of going to feel like, oh, wow, this is pretty old, especially for a new fan of the Tales series. So if you were going to pick up all three, I recommend playing Symphonia first, then Symphonia Dawn of the New World, Grace's F, and Zillia, just so you can see the progression of the Tales series. Not too long from now, there are going to be 2 more Tales games on PS3. Tales of Zillia 2 is making its way over to the States and Europe next month, and Tales of Zestiria, which is a brand new game, is coming out in 2015, I believe, or it's 2015, and that's coming out everywhere at the same time, so you won't have to wait for like localization. So if you're gonna get the Tales games on PS3, those are the ones to get. Final Fantasy really does not have a good game on PS3. Sucks, I know. You might as well just wait for Final Fantasy 15 to come out if you want to get a PS4 or Xbox One, because there really is like no Final Fantasy game on PS3. There really isn't. It's just that pink bitch and her adventures. That's basically all it is. Captain Ziggy wants to know, what is my favorite Keyblade? My favorite Keyblade will definitely have to be the Ultima... Oh, god damn it. I can't cheat! So, we're talking about Keyblades now. What you know about that Keyblade, bro? What you know about that Keyblade? Some of my personal favorite Keyblades in the Kingdom Hearts series, of course, it's got to be the Kingdom Key. I love it. It's one of the best looking ones out there. It's plain, simple, effective. Other than that, you have the Keyblade that you received from Leon in, I believe, Kingdom Hearts 2. I forgot the name. Was it? I know it wasn't Lionheart or Leonheart, but you know which one I'm talking about. The picture will appear on screen. And that, you know, Oathkeeper, Oblivion, always personal favorites. Gotta love Riku's, you know, Princesses of Heart Keyblade, and whatever the real name is. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about. And of course, Riku's actual Keyblade, the Road to the Dawn. I mean, like I like all the, I guess it's kind of like bad to say, but I really like all the popular Keyblades. I really think they do look cool and they do look awesome. Sue me for being a plebeian because, well, those Keyblades do look awesome. And I'm not going to deny it. And wow, look at that. So comes the end of another installment of the Ask Neo Q&A series. Whew! Can't believe I got that done in what took me 4 months to actually bring together, but it's here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys loved it. Post your comments down below in the video description what you thought about Ask Neo. You guys can expect the next installment to be, I don't know, sometime in the next 2 to 3 years, something like that. I have a Facebook fan page, facebook.com/NeoGameSpark. Go give that one a like. I have a Twitter, twitter.com/NeoGameSpark. Make sure to tweet me. And I also have an Instagram if you guys like to follow my daily posts and updates of what I'm doing in the bathroom at 3:37 a.m. in the morning. I'm shaving, guys. I'm just shaving. I like to keep this pretty short. My Instagram handle is PhantomNGS. All the links will be down below in the description. Without further ado, I'm NGS signing out. And like always, I will catch you guys later. Thanks for all the great questions. Peace.